Hi, welcome everybody. So this is the strength training class for DM. Just want to start by giving a big thank you and shout out to the Myotonic Dystrophy Foundation for, I forgot to turn the sound off, for sponsoring this class. The only equipment that you are going to need today, I was just explaining to some folks, but in case you missed it, is a set of weights. You can have a lighter and a heavier set, and I'll let you know which exercises to use, which set of weights. I stay light with my soup cans just because I teach multiple of these classes a week, so I'm trying to protect my joints and my soft tissue and all of that. And then just making sure arms out, that you've got a nice big space around you so you won't hit anything in the area. And we're assuming that if you are taking this class, you've checked in with some kind of a medical healthcare professional. So just being really mindful to move at your own pace, to listen to your body. Remember, I care more about your form and your alignment and maybe how you're doing a certain movement than I do about how much weight you're lifting or how fast you're going. So I set up my circuit so that you go for time. So we're gonna do an 18-minute circuit today, a little bit longer than last week, so that it allows people to move at your own pace. You don't feel like you're on the clock and you're trying to get through it. Not that that's a bad model, because we may do that model in the future, but just so folks can really get used to the kind of movements that I'm teaching and still carry proper alignment, so we're not, moving towards injuries or anything like that. Let's see. I know I'm missing something else. I think that's it. Yeah, just being really mindful of your body, especially how you're feeling today. Just because something felt good last week doesn't mean it's going to be the exact same thing today. So just really encouraging you to stay with your body. We start with the body scan so that you can do a full check-in with yourself, knowing how you're feeling, and then you can move from there. I have typed the circuit down into the chat box. I'm going to repost that again once we get to the circuit, but we're going to start with a warm-up. And I believe that is it. We'll get going there. Just make sure this is all good to go. Okay. All right. So I'll be talking you through certain variations for my seated and my standing athletes. I'm going to be showing most of the warm-up in a seated position, but I'm going to be jumping back and forth seated to standing. So feel free to take whatever variation works for you. This is the kind of class where you can do as modified as a class as you want, or as challenging as a class as you want, as slow or as fast as you want. So just kind of picking it's like a build your own pizza kind of class. Okay, so if it is safe for you to do so, I'm inviting you to take your socks and shoes off. If that is not accessible for you, don't worry about it. It just allows your feet to ground into the floor. It gives more biofeedback up into your nervous system. Okay, but making sure that your feet, if you're in a seated position, your hips are on the floor or on the chair, and your feet are either on the floor or on the base of your wheelchair. Now we'll just start with a body scan here. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And you're first just going to notice your breath. You can put both hands on the low belly if that's helpful for you. And just noticing with each inhale and each exhale where that breath is going. Is it moving into your low belly? Is it moving into your chest? Is it moving up into your neck? And wherever that breath is, I'm going to have you invite that breath a little bit deeper. So trying to aim that inhale, trying to aim that breath down into your hands over your low belly. This is a type of breathing called diaphragmatic breathing. It helps calm the nervous system and preps you for movement. And as you stay with that breath, You're just noticing what in your body feels good right now. So you can give your shoulders a wiggle, you can give your hips or your feet a wiggle. So noticing what areas feel good. Noticing what areas maybe don't feel so good. So what areas feel tight or restricted or perhaps even painful. And then what areas of your body are super quiet? Maybe you can't sense them or feel them. You know, have you set an intention for class today? So that can be as general or specific as you'd like. My intention, for example, is going to be to move at my own pace. We'll take one more inhale, one more exhale, and we'll open the eyes. All right. We're going to reach the arms up to the ceiling as high as you can. Interlace the fingers if you're able to, pushing your palms up towards the sky. Let everything shrug up, your ribs, your shoulders, and you're going to come right into an articulating roll down all the way to the floor or as close to it as you can. Inhale at the bottom and then exhale back up. Yeah, leave your arms up. You're going to rotate slightly to the left. You're going to take a roll down on that left side. You should feel a nice stretch through the right ribs and right torso. Inhale at the bottom, and then exhale, roll up. That's it. Rotate to the other side, dive over. And if you're standing, you're just doing this from a standing position. Inhale, and then exhale to roll up. Good, bring the arms all the way down. You're gonna bring your fingertips to that area just under your collarbones. And you're gonna gently tap that area. You can use your fingers or your knuckles if that's more accessible to you. And this is gentle. So we do this to help calm the nervous system. We also have a few meridians that run through this area. And you're just noticing your breath. I'm gonna shed a layer here. Noticing if any part of that area is maybe sensitive for you or tender. Okay, good. And then you're going to bring your hands to behind your neck. And you're going to look down at your belly button. Okay. As you tilt your head up towards the sky, you're going to drag your hands down your neck, down the sides of your neck, finishing with your fingertips at the collarbones. Hold that position right there. So you're pulling your skin down, you're looking up, and now I want you to slide your lower jaw forward. You should feel a nice stretch through the front of the neck, and then release that. Grab the back of your neck, look down at your belly button. As you glide your hands forward, tilt your head up so it's simultaneous. At the end of the movement, slide your lower jaw forward. Yeah, and again, hands to the back of the neck, look down, pulling, tractioning forward as you look up, lower jaw forward. Just gonna do one more like that. Hands to the back, tractioning down, looking up, lower jaw forward. Yeah, let the hands come down. Down towards the floor, seated or standing. I'm just going to have you pretend like you're really reaching for something on the floor. So shoulders are down and back. Tilt your head to the left. So we should be feeling a nice stretch in that side of the neck. And then I want you to point your nose down at your left armpit. So that stretch moves more to the back of the neck. And then come to the center. Yeah. Re-engage those shoulders down and back. Tilt your head to the right. Eyes are forward, nose is forward. There we go. And then start to point your nose and your eyes down towards your right armpit. Good. Go ahead and release that. Give the arms and the legs a little bit of a shake. And Okay, and we'll just get moving a little bit here. So again, seated or standing, you're just gonna find this nice rotation. As you do this, I want your hand to tap the opposite side of your low back. This is where your kidneys live, so we're just giving the kidneys a little bit of a love, giving the low back a little bit of love. Good, and then I want you to pause, doesn't matter which way, but pause, looking behind you, rotating a little bit more if you can, and then back to swinging. Go ahead and pause on the other side, looking behind you. Can you rotate a little bit more? And then back to swinging. Go to the other side, pause. Inhale into that rotation, and then swing. Good, last one. Pause. Inhale into the rotation, and swing. Okay, good. We're gonna bring both arms up, framing the head with the elbows. You're gonna come right into a side bend. We're gonna do some of these in our circuit today. So I'm just gonna have you hold this. I want you to be mindful that when you're side bending, you're not collapsing. You're keeping the area below your belly button strong, and you're just side bending from the area above the belly button. Go ahead and side bend to the other direction, same thing. So you should feel your back, or you'll hopefully feel your back engage. It's okay if that's not there for you. But just being mindful, and then we'll switch sides, just being mindful that as you go back and forth with these side bends, you're not collapsing into the side bend. You're stabilizing your low back, and you're mobilizing your mid and your upper back. And that looks really good. Yeah, from the people that I can see, that looks great. And just going back and forth. Good. Okay, we'll bring the arms down. We're gonna give ourselves a really big hug, wrapping the arms. I'm just gonna have you round just your upper spine. So don't roll all the way down, that's it. And then open your arms, your chest up to the ceiling. Inhale, palms go up if you can. And then exhale, give yourself a big hug, rounding your upper spine. Inhale, lift, and exhale, hug. Yep, inhale, lift, and exhale, hug. Last one, inhale, lift, and exhale, hug. And back to the center. Okay, moving into our limbs and our joints a little bit more. Got some sunlight coming in on me. So for my seated athletes, you're going to be doing shoulder internal and external rotation. So this is going to be your goal post arms turning in and out. If it's hard for you to have your shoulders like this, you can do it more in this direction. Sorry, palms are going to be up if you're doing it in this way. Otherwise, I want you to have these goal post arms. For my standing athletes, you're going to be going back and forth between hip internal rotation and hip external rotation. Okay, so whichever version you're doing, keep going with that, mobilizing the shoulders, mobilizing the hips. You could do both at the same time. I'm going to shut my blinds, but keep going. As the daylight changes this time of year, I'm always having to make adjustments. Okay, good. Go ahead and relax with that. I'm going to have you come to your hands and your feet. So for my seated athletes, giving me the stop sign signal, fingers up and spread, and then make a fist down to the ground. Yep, fingers up and spread, make a fist down. Keep going with that. For my standing athletes, you're going to find a toe raise and a heel raise. Toe raise and a heel raise. I want the focus to be more on the toe raise. So we're working the front of the shins. If you experience any kind of foot drop, This is a really good one to activate those muscles on the fronts of the shins. Yeah, that's great. Okay, good. And then we'll release that, we'll shake that off. Let's go ahead and just come right into a nice back stroke. Good. We'll keep eyes and head pointing forward. My standing athletes, you have an option to do some leg circles here. So you can hold on to a counter or a wall, doing maybe 5 leg circles on each side. There we go. Yeah, that's great. Focus really comes to that stance leg. So the whole body, this side of the body is stable while the other side is moving. Okay. And go ahead and relax. Awesome. Nice work, everyone. Okay. And then also just one more quick thing, because I think I forgot to say this in the beginning of class. If you have questions, this is an interactive class, so please feel free to unmute yourself or type into the chat box. I always encourage questions, especially because I know these movements can be new to people with being a new class. Okay, we're gonna jump right into the circuit. We've got an 18-minute circuit. Because it takes me a while to talk through all of the variations, I encourage you to do the exercises with me, with whatever variation makes the most sense for you. And we'll work our way through it, and then we'll start the circuit. Okay, so first exercise is going to be, for my seated athletes, an overhead press or a tricep dip. It is up to you what kind of weight you want to be using for this one. If you think you can use your heavy weight for 15 reps, then use your heavy weight. If that doesn't make sense, then use your lighter weight. Okay, so for my seated athletes doing an overhead press, dumbbells are against your shoulders, elbows bent. Your palms are going to be facing in. This helps keep your shoulders in a more neutral position. You then press the weights directly overhead, or as overhead as you can, and then bring the weights back down to the starting position. Exhale to press the weights up. Inhale to lower the weights down. Yeah. Just as a reminder here, because I'm going to be picky with this, when your arms come overhead, be mindful that you're not letting the ribs flare. I call this the gymnastics pose, okay? So that you're keeping your upper abdominals engaged as that weight presses overhead, as opposed to this, okay? Because then you're not really using your shoulder muscles as much. You're kind of cheating with your spine. So really trying to keep the upper abdominals engaged if you're able to. For another variation for my seated athletes, if you're in a wheelchair, or a kitchen chair, but if you're in a wheelchair to start, so hands on the wheels, and you're going to be doing a tricep dip like this, where hands on the wheels here, you're straightening your arms to lift your butt off the bottom of your chair, and then lower yourself back down. Again, it's going to be an exhale to press, so the butt floats off the chair, and then an inhale to lower. Make sure that shoulder blades, and I'm going to be talking this, now I'll get to that in a sec, but make sure your shoulder blades are in a really set position before you do either one of these movements. If you are using a kitchen chair, you can scoop forward off of the kitchen chair and do the same movement, being a tricep press, lowering the hips down. I'm pointing my elbows back and then pressing up. Inhale down, exhale up. Yeah. And if you're nervous about doing that off of a kitchen chair, you can always have like a backpack or a stool underneath you. If you're nervous, you're not going to be able to get back up again. For my standing athletes, you're going to be doing an overhead press with a squat. So for those of you that are maybe in the weightlifting world and or the CrossFit world, this is also called a thruster. So hands bent in that starting position, you lower into a squat, and as you stand, you press the weights overhead. You lower the arms, you lower down to the squat. So the idea is that you're using the power from your legs to almost assist you with raising the arms overhead, okay? So squat into an overhead press, yeah. Yeah, Cynthia, that looks great, nice. You're gonna be doing 15 of those total. Second exercise for my seated athletes is going to be alternating straight arms. So the goal for this one is to go as quickly as you can. So one arm up, one arm down, and you're going back and forth as quick as you can. If you have shoulder issues, if this doesn't make sense for you, you don't have to go quite as high, or you can bend the arms and make it more into running arms, okay? So depending on strength, shoulder issues, whatever that might be. But either way, I want you to think of stabilizing your body so that the body isn't swaying side to side too much as the arms go. Okay, so thinking about using your back muscles, your abdominal muscles to stabilize you as the arms shift. For my standing athletes, well, actually, I'm gonna give you one more variation. For my seated athletes with movement in their legs, if you want to stay out of your shoulders, you have the option to do quick marching knees. Yeah, nice, Mindy, that's good. So you're just trying to go as quick as you can, lifting one knee up and then the other knee up. Again, I'm going to actually encourage you, if you're doing this one, to lift the toes. Notice that as I lift the knee, I'm lifting the toes up towards me. Again, this is really useful for folks that might be experiencing foot drop, okay? So that's working this front muscle on your shin. For my standing athletes, you're gonna be doing high knees. So last week, we were doing split jumps. This week, it's gonna look more like high knees in a static position, but running as quick as you can. If jumping isn't super realistic for you, that can also look more like a stepping motion, lifting one knee up and then the other knee up, okay? But you can make that as quick as you want to. Let me catch my breath. We're doing 30 of those on each side. So whenever I say each here, and it's down in the chat box also, whenever I say each, that means that a right leg and a left leg counts as one. Right leg, left leg, two, and so on. Alrighty. Just making sure there's no questions. Third exercise is going to be for my seated athletes, reverse fly. I recommend using your lighter set of weights. If you have two sets of weights, use your lighter one. You're going to hinge forward at the hips. If that's challenging for you, you can use a hand on your knee to support you. If that still is challenging for you, you can just stay in an upright position. But you're going to lean forward. We're targeting all of those muscles in between your shoulder blades. And you're bringing your arms out into a T or an airplane, and then bringing them back towards the floor. Your palms are facing in towards each other. That's important. And you have a very slight bend in your elbows. Don't fully straighten your elbows. Keep a really soft bend in the elbows. It just helps protect the joint a little bit more. For my standing athletes, you're going to be doing a backwards lunge. You have the option to hold weight here if you'd like. So feet together, you're stepping one leg back. Remember, it's kind of a big step behind you. Lowering that knee down. I'm looking for a 90-degree angle of the front knee and the back knee, and then stepping forward again. Stepping the other leg back, 90-90, and then stepping forward again. And you're just trying to keep your torso as perpendicular to the ground as you can. Okay. Great. You are doing 16 of those total. So for my lungers, you're doing 8 on each side. Okay, we've got 2 more. Stay with me. Fourth exercise is side bends. We haven't done this one yet. Holding your heavier set of weights if you can. So for my seated athletes, you're gonna do just coming into a side bend. So similar to what we did in warm up. Notice how everything, my belly button's right here, everything below my belly button stays really upright. I'm not collapsing. I'm keeping this lower part of me strong as I tip just my upper body. I think of like a teapot tip to the side. It's just that upper part of the teapot or the arm of the teapot that is tipping. The rest of it stays really stable. Okay. You're gonna do, how many do I have you doing up here? You're gonna be doing 10 on each side. So do 10 on one side and then go into 10 on the other side. For my sitting athletes, you have a couple of options. You can either do this standing, just with your feet right underneath you, or you could do single leg, stabilizing on the leg of the side that you're side bending towards. So I'm stabilizing on my left and I'm side bending left. Oh gosh, okay. So same side for my standing athletes. 20 of those total. Fifth and final exercise, abdominal curls. I'm gonna give you a bunch of variations for this one also. So no weights for this one. So for my seated athletes, hands behind your head. You're gonna, and if this isn't realistic with your shoulders, you can always do a cross in front. You're gonna think about touching your nose towards your belly button. Okay, I'll be wildly impressed if anyone can actually get their nose to their belly button. More power to you. But the idea is that, and I got 2 really good questions on this the past 2 sessions, of what does it mean to engage your abdominals? So I encourage people to not think of this movement as squeezing, because sometimes that tenses the body and it makes you hold your breath. But you're thinking of engaging all of these muscles right here. So these are what I call your abdominals, to bring your spine into flexion. This is flexion where your spine is curling forward. And you're trying to touch your belly button to your nose. As I was saying last week, you're not letting gravity take you. So I'm not just slumping down into this. This is an active movement. I'm actively trying to touch my nose to my belly button with each forward fold. Okay, so hopefully you feel this engagement of your abdominals here. 4, let me make sure I am not missing anything with seated. Yes, okay, good. For my standing athletes, you have a couple of options. For those of you that are able to get down on the floor, you're gonna come into more of a mat-like abdominal curl. So hands are down at your side. Remember your head, you tuck your chin into your throat. Your head comes up. You lift your shoulders as much off of the floor as you can. And then you slowly come back down. If you want to make this harder, your feet can be at an angle or up towards the ceiling as you slowly lower your shoulders and lift your shoulders up. And yes, I was just shaking for that. Those are not easy. For my standing athletes that are unable to get down onto the floor, you can also just bring this in a standing position like my seated athletes into a roll down. Maybe you're able to get a little bit lower because you're in a standing position, but you're just doing that standing abdominal curl. Okay, so you've got a few options there. You're doing 20 of those total. Okay, so one more time. Overhead press, tricep dip, with or without a squat for 15. Alternating straight arms or high knees for 30 on each side. Reverse flies or backward lunge for 16 total. Side bends for 20. Abdominal curls for 20. And that's it. I'm going to repost the circuit into the chat box here. Okay, so I just reposted it, so hopefully everybody can see that. If it's hard to see my whiteboard, and I'm actually also, I'm gonna spotlight myself. If you don't want me to be spotlit on your screen, you can always opt out of that. But just so hopefully you can see the screen with a little bit more clarity. Okay, we are going to go music-less today also, just in case people have questions and want to interact, and so that I can watch people and give feedback in real time. You have 18 minutes for this circuit. Remember to push yourself, but pace yourself. 18 minutes, it can be short for some people and can be really long for others. So just see if you can find a good rhythm that you can hold for a solid 18 minutes. I'm going to be showing you seated variations and then standing variations and then just flopping back and forth so folks can follow along with me in case they get confused. Okay, so we've got 18 minutes on the clock. You are starting with an overhead press or a tricep dip with or without a squat. You're doing 15 total. Are we ready? Let me get my weights here. All right, everyone, have an awesome workout. 18 minutes, on your marks, get set, and go. Try to remember how many rounds you get through. You can report at the end of class. Try to keep an even breath through this movement. And if you need any alternatives that don't work for you or any other kind of variations, let me know. I'm very creative. I can always think of something else to give you. Yeah, nice work, everyone. That looks really good. Yeah. For those of you doing the reverse flies, I want you to think of trying to make your shoulder blades kiss each other as the arms pull back. So really engaging that area in between the shoulder blades. These muscles also help with your posture, your seated and your standing posture. These are important muscles. You're about 3 minutes in. Mm-hmm. If you're doing the abdominal curls, it's going to be an exhale to round and an inhale to open. Exhale, round, inhale, open. We use our breath to facilitate movement. So that's why I cue you in certain directions to inhale and in other directions to exhale. It's kind of the natural rhythm the breath and the body wants to take. We can also challenge ourselves by reversing the breath, but for now we just use it to facilitate movement. Yeah, you're doing great, everyone. Keep it up. Just watching folks here. Yeah, that looks great. Just gonna move into showing you the standing variations. If you are doing the standing variation, trying to keep your torso as upright as you can. So try not to do this. Try to be here. So the unofficial rule when you're doing squats is to keep the angle of your back and your shins parallel with each other. So my shins and my back are about parallel with each other. That might not be realistic for some of you, no worries. Just something to keep in mind. Keep it up, everyone. You're doing great. You are 7 minutes in. I'm going to give you an extra challenge here. You can take it or leave it. I've been encouraging you about halfway through these circuits for the past few sessions to try to return to nasal breathing. This is where your mouth is shut and you're just breathing through your nose. It just challenges you cardiovascularly, a little bit different than breathing through your mouth. And if that is not there for you, don't worry about it. Just an extra challenge. You can take it or leave it. Yeah, remember, for those that are doing side bend standing, you can always do single leg. You can even do, I call it walking the tightrope, just to help challenge your balance a little bit more, if that is safe for you to do so. And when you switch sides, you could switch feet. Yeah, nice work, everyone. You're officially halfway there. You're 9 minutes in. Pace yourself these last 9 minutes. Maybe you can go faster. Maybe you need to go slower. Are you keeping track of how many rounds you're getting through? If it's helpful for anyone, I think I just finished my second round. You're 11 minutes in, last 7 minutes. You're doing great. You're doing great. Just a reminder, if you are still nasal breathing or if you forgot to nasal breathe, can you return to it? And regardless of if you're nasal breathing, can you keep your breath smooth? No holding your breath. That's really the biggest takeaway. No holding the breath. Yeah, nice work, everyone. Nice, Lori. Yeah. Susan, see if you can keep your head more upright when you do. That's it. Yeah. So eyes and head are pointing forward. That's better. Yeah. It's just to take some tension off of this area. Yeah, that's good. You have 4 minutes left. Remember, with the last few minutes here, just be mindful of your form. I know it's easy to lose your form as you get tired, so if you find that's happening, I encourage you to either take a break or do less repetitions. Remember, if you're doing the high knees, to pull your toes up, if that's there for you. I have good news. You only have about 1.5 minutes left. Push yourself, but pace yourself. I know 18 minutes feels long. If you're in that boat, I am right there with you. You're almost there, everyone. You got 50 seconds left. Listen to your body. You're doing great. You're here. You showed up today. Nice, Leslie. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Go ahead and relax, grab some water, take a break, catch your breath. We'll jump into a cool down, and then I'll take any questions at the end. Oh, yes, Mindy, thank you for, wow, 6, that's awesome. So how many rounds did people get? Feel free to type into the chat box or unmute yourself. Mindy got 6. I think I got about 4, 3.5. No, I don't think I even got to 4, maybe 3.5. Shaylin and Beth got 3.5. Elise got 4. Yes, Allegra, no worries. Caught up with something, 1.5, that still is great. Leslie with 3.5. Really, really good. Nice work, everyone. Cool. Okay. So I'll have you come back to a seated or a standing position, grounded position of some sort. We're just going to take both arms, we're going to cross them over the chest, and we're just going to find a circling of the ribs around our pelvis. Opening, rolling forward and off to the side. And then go ahead and switch directions. Inhaling as you open and exhaling as you circle down. Inhaling to open and exhale to circle down. Just do one more. Good, and then we'll come back to the center. Okay. Awesome. Let's just find a few neck rolls, or I should say head rolls. Be mindful not to throw the head or the neck too far, especially when you go backwards. Switch directions. I like to move really slowly through this one. And then we'll come back to the center. Okay. Let's just find that body check-in one more time. So we'll close the eyes. You can bring both hands to the low belly again. Inviting that breath to sink into your hands. Seeing if you can return to nasal breathing to calm the nervous system back down. And then just noticing again what in your body feels good, maybe even different from the beginning of class. What still feels a little restricted, a little tight? And then are there areas of your body that still seem really quiet, that you can't sense, that it's hard to feel? Now, if you think of one thing you're grateful for today, we'll take one more inhale, one more exhale, and we'll open the eyes. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone.